All right, welcome back. You guys have come so far. We have all these gold tracks in place. We're getting really, really close to just kind of wrapping up and getting through the rest of the song, which is typically a little bit faster. So from here, we have our build into our drop complete with our vocal chop, which we will learn how to do this video. So all together, this is what we get.
All my life, all my life, all my life, all my life.
All right, let's do it. This is going to take some figuring out. So let's get our track going. We're going to call this one the high chop, and we'll talk about why in just a minute here. So the way I got started with this is at the very beginning, we had our lead vocal. So now a lot of times you can take your lead vocal, you can try and make a chop out of it. I would suggest you guys see if you can get something out of it. But I decided I needed something more. So I went back to Splice and I grabbed another vocal. Now, the way I found this vocal was I still had kind of my search up for this original lead vocal, and this happened to be the same singer. So I thought that was super convenient. So we don't deter from the original sound too much. Typically, you want your vocal chop to be made from the vocal that's in the song so it doesn't kind of catch you off guard. Now, as always, you can do whatever you want. If it sounds good, it sounds good. That's kind of the going rule or saying. But so we ended up with I picked out this just O vocal. I don't think it probably had a tempo, a time. I don't even care about that. This is all we have to work with. So this is actually really great because there's a lot of just long standing notes. It's just O's. There's a lot of potential here in something we can come up with. So pretty much when I'm doing a vocal chop, I'll play. I want to feel the music. So sometimes I'll turn everything on just to get started. So if we turn on everything we've done thus far and we get just the whole feeling of the drop. Think about it's a melody. Vocal chop is a melody. We want a top line over this, something to capture the essence of this entire drop. Why are we even at this drop? Because we have a new melody. We have a new piece of the song. We have a chorus. This is essentially, our biggest part of the song in our electronic EDM type song. So with this O vocal, this gives us lots of opportunities, even though it's not necessarily in key or in time. So we're going to go over how to manipulate this. So if we listen back, if we just dragged and dropped this in here, nah, it's not going to fly. But it sounds like there's a couple notes in key here. So we're just going to start playing with it. There's no surefire way to come up with the best vocal chop. There are different strategies to going about it. So I used to do a chop it up, different pieces, each note, and then you can grab these. You can turn it into, I believe it is convert. Yep, convert to a new sampler track. I don't really like doing that anymore. I felt that working with just a simple audio file, I can come up with more interesting concepts. So if we just get rid of this again, we just have our original vocal. Let's just think about the process behind how this even came to be. Because, like I said, there's no surefire method. It's just we're going to hear things and we're going to try to make it happen. So let's listen back again. Let's just put on the pad synth and we'll just keep it there so we can kind of focus in. So we have. Let's put the heavy synth in there too. So off the bat, let's see. I really like this piece here. So let's see. If we chop it right on this bar here and plug this in here, let's see what happens. So actually, this got me started right here. This piece. This goes right up into our key, right where he starts to scoop into it. So if you have this aligned, you have it on the downbeat of the drop 25. If we bring this 2 clicks forward, we get that scoop and we get into that note. So let's go ahead. Let's just drag this back and let's plop this on the downbeat and listen. Okay. Maybe not this end scoop here, obviously, but let's think. Up until bar 26, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. So I think that I want that. So we can go ahead, just chop that. And now we have this piece. Okay, good start. So the way we come up with the melody, there's a couple patterns that I want to talk about. So if we have to start, guys, put your eyes right here. There's different melody patterns. You can have A B A C, you can have A B A B, you can have A B C A. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But so in this, the way we break this up, let's go ahead, drop this down in here. You guys don't have to do this. So we would have, this will be, we'll go ahead, drop it in here. We'll say this is our A melody. Get rid of this for now. This will be our B melody. We'll go back to an A melody, and then we'll wrap it up with a C melody right here. And that wraps up the vocal chop, so you can repeat it from here. So if we're looking at this, we need an A, we need a B, we need an A, we need a C. So we can take it section by section. So let's drop this out. And the whole time we're doing this, we can change stuff out. If we decide we don't like it, that's fine. But I think this kind of works for an A melody. So something new. Let's put the A back in there. Scoot these. Oops. All right. Not bad. So these actually went further out. So let's get rid of this is a full piece here. So let's get our C will actually be right here. Our A will be right here, and our B will be right here. So A, B, A, C, this will be our melody. So in my head, I hear this first part and I start to think about the melody in my head. What do I want to hear after this? Sometimes I'm picking up my guitar, sometimes I'm messing around on the keyboard, the piano. Other times I can just hear it in the vocal. So I was thinking in my head, I want to hear something like dude, dude. I want to hit that root note. So how are we going to get the root note? Well, we can start to transpose things. We can also pick what section of this vocal we want to use for that. So let's go ahead and bring these guys over here where there's no music playing. Put it right here, and we can kind of figure out where we want to cut this. So he changes notes in here. So we can probably cut this up and use it accordingly. So he's got, so we'll say it starts here. And it kind of stops here. And then we can cut this off, cut that off. And then we got right there. Let's make sure that's in line. So now we kind of have 3 little pieces we can mess with that are each a different note, and we can transpose them. We can turn it into anything we want. So let's see. Let's grab one of these. Let's grab these two because we know they're different notes and see if we like either of them. Let's drag them in. Sometimes it just works. Sometimes it doesn't. So playing it back. Let's stretch this out. All right, so I don't think I want that. So I'm gonna bring that scoop back, maybe extend here, see what comes out of it. No. So tell you what, I decided I don't like that. So I'm gonna check this other piece here. Let's see what's happening in here. So maybe let's take this. Let's pop it right here. And yes, obviously I made this before, so I'm trying to remake what I made, but this is the process. It's not a clean process. This can take, sometimes I've been working on vocal chops with three different vocals at once. I'm mixing and matching. Who knows? I never know what's going to happen. This could be a lengthy process or it could be super short. I never know. All right. So I'm not crazy about, obviously this doesn't sound like it's in key, but we can manipulate that. And I'm not crazy about it scooping back up. So let's see if we can just get one note. Okay, we got one note. We got one clean note, but that's not in key, or at least I don't like where it is. So what I ended up doing was transposing this. I took this piece right here, brought it up three. Now listen. Interesting. So I kind of wanted to hear that twice. So let's go ahead, pop it twice. Okay. All right. Maybe getting somewhere, maybe not. Who knows? Now our B melody, just a little bit of a change. I wanted to restart this section with that same initial part. All right. And then I think I want to hear him do that scoop again. So I want to hear him go. I want to hear him go higher. Let's see what happens when we take it higher. So if we bring it up two semitones, now we got this A, B. Cool. I think we're getting somewhere. I kind of like that. It's flowy. I know after we put effects on it, reverb and sidechain it with the rest of everything else, it's going to fit right in. Sounds kind of wonky right now, but that's all right. So then guess what? Here's our A coming back up again. We already have an A melody. Let's copy it over. So now we have A, B, A. It's getting good. It's getting good. So this next part, I'm not sure what I wanted to use. So we need a whole new melody to kind of finish this out. So let's see what we have here. We have these pieces left over. And they, again, they don't have to be left over. We can extend these. We can reuse any part of this. So let's see what this is. This is our C. Hmm. Again, you guys know I'm cheating because I already wrote this, but if this were me on the first time, then I would just be messing with it. I have no idea what I'm gonna come up with. So, kind of like it. Oops. And then I think I took it. We went 1, 2, 2, 1. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I did. And it sounds bad anyway. Let's take that up to 3. Nope, still not working for me. Nope, it's got to go up one more. And this ain't right either. Let's take that up to 2. Okay. All right. I think we're getting somewhere. Cool. We still have a little bit of space left in our C. We could throw something else in here. Now, I know you guys have heard it, but let's think about what we could possibly do. How do we want to end this chop to make it resolve into the second half? I really, really like the scoop, and I think there's a lot of potential for just this. Oh, it's super awesome. So let's go ahead, drag it back, and pop it right here. And see if we can bring that scoop back. Because remember, we're terminating right at the second half of the drop. So let's listen back again and see what we need to tweak. Nah, I want it to go way high. Highest note we got. Let's see. Is it 4 semitones? I don't know. Definitely not. 3 semitones. Nope. 2 semitones. There it is. I think I like that. So let's listen back. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. And that's what we came up with. Like I said, this is not a clean process. This I probably came up with, I don't remember. I probably came up with 3 or 4 other things prior to settling on this, or maybe I got lucky that day and I came up with this first thing. Who knows? Either way, I like it, so we're going to keep using it. We have this part here, so to make it really EDM-y, we have all our effects that we can start to add on to this. But before we do that, we need to pay attention to the fades on here. We did a lot of cutting, a lot of chopping. So let's go ahead just to be safe, and we'll edit it more later. Let's put a fade of 2 on all these files here so you can highlight them, go up to your region, fade 2 and 2. So then we don't get any kind of popping or clicking like we talked about previously. So smoother. So first thing I think about when I want to make an EDM vocal, I'm going to check on the original. Good. So we have, again, I'm using all stock plugins. So we have down here, I know I want to transpose this. I want to take it out of, I want to kind of clean it up and put it all together. So right now you can tell that it's the original vocal. It's been transposed. It's here. It's there. We want to kind of almost, not phonetically, but we just want to make the sound more balanced within itself, if you catch my drift. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to go to Audio FX, our plugins. I think it's down here in pitch. Yep. We have a vocal transformer. So we click on this. Let me bring this over here. Make this larger. Yes, for you, again, you more advanced people, you have little alter boy and stuff like that, but this essentially does the same thing. So what we can do from here, we can play with it, totally play with it. So we can do, we'll just run it back and we'll listen. So a lot of cool things. We also have the pitch function. Can bring it up 12. Now, in a way, everything is manipulated. Everything's plus 12. So when that plus 3 hits from the original, it's not as much of an audible difference. It's kind of all the same manipulated style. Yes, yes. So in the original, let's see, we have plus 12. If we take it all the way up, we do plus 24. That's 2 octaves. kind of like this just screaming, screaming, screaming. And it's not very pleasant right now, but I know we're going to add some stuff to it to kind of clean it up. So we're going to drop this out. Guys, have your vocal transformer plus 24 pitch. So it's 2 octaves. I didn't touch the mix. I didn't touch the formant. So now we have just this guy. So getting somewhere. So what do we want to keep doing with this? I want to add distortion to it. I want to dirty this up. I don't want it so clean sounding. So I added, we're going to go to plugins, distortion, overdrive. So from here, now this is going to make it a lot louder, but we're going to play with that as well. So we have all these different parameters here. Drive is going to add distortion. Output is essentially it's your output. It'll lower the volume of the track after you add distortion, or you can raise the volume. And then your tone, that's essentially your EQ. So if we bring the tone all the way back, you can't even hear anything. Bring it up. We're putting a high cut. We're messing with the high cut / low pass here. So we have this. So I usually don't like the dark sound because this is supposed to be big and bright in the track. So I'm going to take my tone all the way up to the top of the frequency spectrum. And then I want to add more drive to it. So I think more distortion. So this is going to get loud. So you guys be ready. So this may be too much. So we're going to bring it down to 13.25 and bring it back up to 13.75 because that's what I had originally. Now the level compensation, that'll help with a little bit of the makeup. If we turn this off, prepare yourself. So this is going to help up front with just kind of when you add drive, bringing the volume down accordingly. Of course, you can use your output. It's not as fancy as our compressor or anything like that. But so now we end up with this high-pitched, distorted sound. It's pretty cool. So we're going to keep adding things to this. So I know that with my vocal chop, we just added overdrive, which is going to add a lot of frequency. I don't even know where it's sitting in the EQ, but what I do know thus far is when I add an EQ, which I do want to do, let's go ahead and get our EQ up here. I want to carve out the low information. We don't need the low information here. So if we listen back, you guys can see all this here. No, we don't need that. So we're going to go ahead and put a low cut on, bring this up to 48. And I would bring this probably pretty high, maybe up to 250, 300. And we'll dial this in more when we get to mixing. And in the original, I actually brought this way up. I brought it to like 496. So we're cutting out all this information down here. So if we do the same thing here and we've set this to 496, kind of do the opposite. If you guys listen, this is doing the opposite filter. This is what we're cutting out. Now, one, you can't even hear it in the mix. And number two, it's not even adding anything to the mix. We already have instruments taking over those frequencies. And this is not a fundamental, this is not a piece that we want to be riding down there with the other frequencies. This will help keep our mix clean. So if we have our low cut at 496, we're cutting all that crap out. All right, sounded pretty good. We're almost there. So now for the effect part. So we did our vocal manipulations, kind of EQ'd it. Let's get some reverb and some delay on this to make sure it fits within the mix. So let's go ahead, add our delay. Go to stereo delay. It'll pull up dry. And I made this easy. From our lead track, remember we put delay on our lead track? You guys can open this. Here's our lead. See, it says lead. We're going to copy this and paste it into our vocal chop. So now we have the exact same delay that goes into the lead vocal. So we're not doing anything too crazy, but now we have a delay. Now we have our reverb as well. So we're going to go ahead and pull this up. Go to reverb. I'm going to pick up chroma verb. You can go ahead, go to your lead vocal, pull that up, have our lead. Let's copy this. Let's paste it in here. But I want the reverb to be different for the vocal chop. I want this to really be drenched in reverb. So we can listen back to what this is. So you can tell it's a little bit better, but I think more. I think a lot more. So first of all, our wet, we're going to turn that up to about 53 so we get more reverb introduced into the track. And I also want this tail to go on much longer. So we're going to increase the decay. I'm going to bring it up to about 730. And what this gives us is a long, echoey reverb. Totally different vibe. So if we take all of these off, all of these plugins, we just mute them real quick and we listen back. And then we put these back. We have a totally different track. It's awesome. It's awesome. So the other couple things that I started to focus on, I take these one by one and just make sure they're sitting right. So I'm going to mute my instruments. I just want to hear this for a second. When we start to add all these vocal manipulations, all these plugins, other things, it's introducing new things that may not have been apparent. We're there, but may not have been apparent until we added this. So first of all, let's just go through it one section at a time. And let's make sure everything is the way we want it to sound. So first of all, we have this long O track piece here. So let's do this. Cool. I like it. Did you guys hear this right here? Let's see when it comes back here. See how it's like clicking like that? So I want to see if I can get rid of that. I don't like that. I can see right here. I think maybe it needs a little bit more of a fade. So at this point, we can come up to our toolbar. We can go to our fade tool and we can manually adjust this till we get what we're looking for. So it's cleaner. That's a little bit better. And when you click on this track, you can see what kind of fade we applied numerically. So 42 fade. So we know this was the same section here, copied and pasted. So let's go ahead and plug that in there, 42. It's better. All right, then we know our B section. So a huge, huge, like popping, nasty sound going on. Let's go ahead and fade that guy out a little bit. All right, so a fade of 132, that was helping me out a little bit. Now we're singling out this track. You may not be able to hear this stuff throughout the rest of the mix, but we really want to dial everything in so we don't end up having, if you leave a bunch of little things undone by the time you're done with this song, producing or mixing, well, it's not going to be fun. So we have our A. So we know we already messed with the A. So we had fades of 42 on these guys. Let's go ahead and do that again. Let's take it back. All right, so this C section right here, this had some weird stuff going on. I don't like those breaths that were kind of popping at the end. It's just nasty. So we know these guys are all the same. So we can also see the breath in here. We don't need all this information. So if I highlight these four guys and I bring it back, let's see how this sounds. It's still in there. So let's go ahead, grab our fade tool, and let's try to burn that out of there as much as we can. Because if you guys like it, keep it, but I didn't. So it's still in there. We just keep playing with it. Let's compare to the original. Okay. So we're pretty close. That popping in there. Let's check it with the rest of the track and see if it's really a problem. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's go ahead. We did our bass as well. Let's make sure that's on. And then from here, this is our A melody again. Remember, it's one of these. It's just shortened and it has two fades on it. So if we hear anything, we'll adjust it more. But so now we have. That is so sweet. That is so awesome. So I think it's important that we end up dialing in our main chop. I know you guys are looking above here and we can see a bunch of other things. Believe it or not, they're just copied and pasted. And we'll get into that. They're just processed differently to add flavor or substance, or even in this section here, we're going to use this chop, but we're going to use it differently to build into the drop. So when the drop hits, this high-pitched screaming vocal chop is not brand new, but we've already been slowly introduced to it in the build-up. So we'll get to that in the next video. I want you guys to solidify this chop here. If you guys came up with a new chop, good for you. I love it. I would love to hear it, but this is what we have. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. We'll wrap up the rest of the vocal chops in here. Good job.